Every time you type your primary debit or credit card number straight into a checkout page, you are exposing the direct routing to your actual money. That exposure is especially risky when you sign up for a free trial. These promotions are specifically designed to capture your payment details up front, banking on the statistical likelihood that you will forget to cancel. It is a standard practice across the digital economy. Streaming services, software platforms, and meal kits all require access to your billing information before you ever watch a show or listen to a song. This flowchart illustrates the structural defense against that tactic. A virtual credit card acts as a firewall. Instead of handing over your real digits, you generate a disposable, limit-enforced proxy number that stands between the merchant and your bank. Because this proxy number isolates your main account balance, a merchant trying to pull an unauthorized renewal charge simply hits a wall. The transaction bounces, and your primary checking account remains untouched. But there is a major trap here. The term virtual card is used as a catch-all for tools that operate on completely different financial plumbing. The current ecosystem spans a massive spectrum. On one end, you have fully anonymous burner cards operating in legal gray areas. On the other, you have highly regulated apps directly tethered to your bank account. If you randomly pick a virtual card service without looking at how it actually routes your money, you risk dealing with frozen funds, declined transactions, or handing over even more personal data than you were trying to protect in the first place. To navigate this ecosystem, we have to look at this balancing scale. The entire virtual card market is governed by a strict compromise between convenience and your identity. To get perfect automated protection against a $15 unwanted subscription charge, the platforms providing that automation almost always require you to surrender significant personal data. If you want to keep your identity private, the scale tips the other direction. You will have to sacrifice that automated convenience and pay steep top-up fees to move your money. And those identity requirements are rarely light. Securing a top-tier virtual card often involves uploading photographs of your government-issued documents to a third-party server. You cannot have maximum convenience, zero fees, and total anonymity all at once. You have to decide exactly which compromises you are willing to accept to keep your primary bank account secure. Let's break down the options using this comparison matrix. The first category is the bank-linked limiter, including services like privacy.com. These platforms require strict inputs. You must directly connect your primary bank account and pass strict Know Your Customer identity checks. In the United States, that often means handing over highly sensitive data, including your social security number, just to open the account. Once you clear that hurdle, you gain exact control over your spending. You can instantly generate a single-use card number that self-destructs after one transaction, or create a card with a hard-coded limit of exactly $1. That hard-coded limit makes this the ideal tool for exploiting free trials. Sign up for a service, let the authorization clear, and know an auto-renewal charge will fail. Here is your trade-off. You completely solve the unwanted subscription problem, but your cost of admission is trusting a third-party fintech startup with your banking login and your legal identity. Our approach 2 covers the pre-funded wallets. This includes massive global fintech companies like Wise, Revolut, and Gatsby. These platforms operate on a prepaid multi-currency model. To use them, you still have to pass a standard ID verification, but the financial mechanics change. You have to manually initiate a top-up to move cash from your checking account onto the digital card before you can spend it. Because it is prepaid, you achieve absolute financial isolation. If a merchant attempts to charge $70 but you only loaded $20, the system physically cannot draw past your balance. These cards also integrate cleanly into mainstream mobile wallets, allowing you to use them for contactless checkouts at physical stores. Your trade-off here is friction. You get ultimate isolation, but you have to actively manage your available budget. Furthermore, standalone prepaid services often charge per-card issuance fees or top-up fees that slowly chip away at the money you saved. Approach 3 moves into high-risk territory, the anonymous no KYC cards offered by platforms like Funk Cards. Their unique selling point is the input mechanism. They bypass identity verification entirely, issuing you a card using nothing but an email address. To accomplish this without triggering banking oversight, these platforms heavily rely on third-party transfers, requiring you to fund your virtual card using cryptocurrency. If you need to bypass geographic payment restrictions or test gray market services, this provides total anonymity, but the downside is severe. Operating completely outside consumer protection laws means zero fraud protection, and mainstream merchants will likely flag and decline the card. That brings us to approach 4, a behavioral hack heavily popularized on forums to avoid these third-party apps entirely. The method is simple. You sign up for a service using your real debit card, and then navigate to your settings and immediately cancel the auto-renew before consuming the content. While this costs nothing and avoids identity checks, it relies entirely on your own discipline, and modern streaming platforms have adapted. Many now retaliate by instantly revoking your trial access the second you click cancel. Ignore the marketing copy. To choose the right tool, look at this decision tree and map your choice directly to your personal priorities. If you're a free trial optimizer, guaranteeing you never pay an accidental bill, follow this path to bank-linked limiters. But acknowledge the cost, handing a startup your social security number and banking login. If you're a security shopper focused on protecting your main account while keeping Apple Pay, follow the path to pre-funded wallets. The cost here is paying top-up fees and dealing with manual loading. Finally, if you're a privacy purist who absolutely refuses to hand over government ID, follow the path to no KYC cards. The cost of that privacy is accepting declined transactions and zero fraud protection. Determine which resource is most precious, your time, legal identity, or primary bank balance. Then deploy the specific virtual card that protects exactly that.